My name is Meredith Small, and I am the Executive Director of Toxics Action Center. At Toxics Action Center, we really believe that everyone has the right to breathe clean air, drink clean water, and live in a healthy community. So our mission is to make those rights a reality by organizing side by side with community groups to clean up or prevent toxic pollution where it happens. And then also we're looking to build the long-term leaders that we need in New England to fuel our environmental and social change movements. Toxics Action Center was started in 1987 by some public health and environmental advocates that were actually responding to the tragedy that happened in Woburn, Massachusetts. Woburn's just north of Boston, and it was made famous by the book and then movie, A Civil Action. Those stories document the true story of the cancer cluster that claimed the lives of 14 children over a 15-year period after the chemical company W.R. Grace contaminated their drinking water.
But after Woburn happened, other communities realized, well, this is happening in our community too, whether it's in Acton, whether it's in Holbrook, that toxic contamination was impacting drinking water supplies and impacting the quality of life in the communities.
There was no group that existed during those times that was designed or really even had the capacity to help the residents and the families build the political power and stay organized in a way that they needed to really keep going.
Government was just slow to act. And what that meant is that companies and corporations weren't held responsible for the actions that they were taking.
So Toxics Action Center was founded to fill that void and essentially help other residents across New England face their own Woburn-like situations. 2012 marks Toxics Action Center's 25th anniversary, and over the last 25 years, our staff of organizers have worked with over 675 community groups throughout the region, and we estimate that we've actually directly trained over 10,000 individuals in the skills that they need to tackle local pollution problem. People join with their neighbors to organize against toxic pollution, not because it's a fun activity or because it's a nice hobby or even because they really care about the environment. People usually get involved in groups like this because either their health or their kids' health is directly threatened.
I got a flyer in the mail that basically said, do you know this power plant is 2 miles from your house and pumping out sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide and really dirty, 2 to 3 times dirtier than all the other plants in Connecticut. My husband and I had a 5-year-old daughter at the time. It's like, well, yeah, I'm mad. Yeah, doesn't sound right, you know, so I went to a meeting.
We found out about the wells being contaminated through the town, as a matter of fact. I don't think I had any experience with activism until I started this.
We're fighting a big mountain. I mean, 2 multi-billion-dollar corporations. This is where we live. This is our livelihood, and it wasn't about politics. It was about the right thing for this community.
We really strive to help every single person that calls our offices looking for help.
About half the groups we work with come to us, and about half the groups we find because they're referred by other environmental groups or we see them in the paper.
We're willing to send our staff out to the communities where the problem exists to meet for 2 to 3 hours, however long it takes, with neighbors in a living room on evenings and on weekends.
During that year, I spent literally every Saturday morning in Harpswell meeting with these organizations, and occasionally another evening during the week. Spending a Saturday morning in Harpswell never felt like work to me. It always felt like we were all in this together.
Toxics Action Center keeps a much needed and very hard but important style of community organizing alive.
With the little group that we had, we started organizing. We had sheets, we had all the names of everyone in town. Let's do it. Let's just put it out, make copies of all, and we distributed these. Would you call 50 people? Do you have 2 friends who would call 50 people? And can you get back to me in 4 days?
It's common for community leaders that we work with to go through really a politicizing process where they start working on a local campaign thinking only about what's happening in their initial backyard, but then through the process of organizing actually start seeing what's happening in their situation as part of a larger problem.
To see the transformation of these folks, many who started as apolitical, who didn't engage in their community, to become leaders of their communities.
There's lots of examples within what began as the Wilson Neighborhood Coalition of community members that ended up going beyond just their local campaign to take on more. Bob did run for local elected office. Others in the group have gotten involved in local politics in a way that they just, I think, never would have.
Our staff of community organizers work with over 80 communities throughout New England every single year. And there are 4 basic services that we're able to provide. So the first thing is that we can help provide you with information. So we could help you read and understand the environmental and public health laws as they relate to the issue that you're facing, both how they work on paper and then also how they work in practice. The second thing that we are able to provide is that we have a pretty extensive network of different experts who we can connect you with if you need it for your campaign or your local effort. So everything from technical experts who can help you read and understand test results to folks who can provide actual legal representation. A lot of the people that we work with in our expert referral network are willing to help ad hoc community groups for a reduced fee or pro bono. We're also able to connect you to other activists and community leaders who have dealt with a similar problem before.
They had like a community of other people who had similar problems. So we were able to get together in groups to discuss our problems and glean from each other what worked and what didn't. It brought a lot of knowledge and confidence.
The third service that we provide is a series of really outstanding events that we organize throughout the year, including conferences and leadership retreats. These are usually 1, sometimes 2-day events that provide really outstanding opportunities for people to come together, meet other people from across the region that are in a similar situation, learn from each other, get trained in new skills or learn about new issues, and get inspired for another week, month, or year of this type of organizing. The fourth thing that we can provide for you and your group is really the bulk of our work, and that's the actual community organizing assistance.
I think we had a group of maybe a dozen people, and I think we were all leaders in our own little way, and we were almost working together, but we were not working together. And we needed to have someone from the outside come in and quiet us down because we were spinning. And that's where it was helpful to have Toxic Action come in.
Well, I think one thing that Toxic Action was really good at doing was sort of being very strategic, but also not making you feel overwhelmed.
The organization that they brought and the ideas that they brought, the concepts of how to go about doing this and how to do it politically.
Toxic Action Center is always welcome in Harpswell, that's for sure, among our group. And I think none of us have forgotten what you guys did to help us.
Toxic Action Center is primarily funded by contributions from individual donors. The very generous contribution of the thousands of people that give us money across the region has allowed us to provide years of free assistance to the community groups that need it. And that aspect of our work, the fact that it's pro bono, can really be a critical component to our assistance, especially for communities in low-income parts of the region and for groups that, because of the nature of the effort and the campaign that they're facing, have to first and foremost fundraise for themselves. We're also able to be fully staffed throughout the region because of the very generous support from a number of private foundations who value the community organizing work that we do.
Toxic Action supported us without any cost, and the fact that they can lend their support and lend their expertise on how to get things done to people that don't have that resource is key.
They were willing to help us with no cost involved whatsoever. They were willing to come out here and work with us, show us what to do. I like to give to the Toxic Action Center every year because without our help, they wouldn't be able to accomplish all the things that they get accomplished throughout the year.
At Toxic Action Center, over the last 25 years, we've been staffed by a series of professional organizers that have learned 3 critical lessons that still inform our work every single day. So the first lesson that we've learned is that toxic chemicals in our environment are harming our health in profound and very serious ways. And everyone has a right to be concerned about toxic chemicals in their environment and the health impacts that are associated with those. The second lesson is that companies and polluters will go to extraordinary lengths to avoid taking responsibility for their messes. Unfortunately, we see this time and time again. The third lesson we've learned, and probably the most important lesson, is that despite incredible odds, that when really just these small neighborhood groups work together in a smart and strategic way, that they're able to build enough power at the local level to win against corporate polluters. It's crucial that Toxic Action Center continue to organize with community groups for another 25 years or more. Unfortunately, we are still getting calls every week from people living under a smokestack of an incinerator or a power plant, or people who have just found out that the air they breathe or the water they drink is actually unsafe, or from parents who call us concerned that their kid might be exposed to pesticides while they're at school. These problems still exist, and the need for our organizers to spend time working with community groups is just as great now as it ever has been. If you live in a community that is threatened by any sort of toxic pollution problem, or if you really just want to make your community a safer, more sustainable place, the first thing that you should do is call Toxic Action Center or email us to talk to one of our staff to figure out how we can be helpful.
What better way to make a difference than fighting for your health and the environment and the health of your family? I mean, if that's not worth it, what is?
The real message, I think, for activists everywhere is you may feel like the underdog at first, but your potential is limitless if you stick together.
I came out of the experience realizing that as an individual, I can do a lot more than I thought I could do. And that's because I was working with a lot of other people and had good guidance. If you are working on an environmental issue, the smartest thing you could do would be to get involved with Toxic Action Center.